All right, this is Chapter 1, Lesson 5, Graphing Proportional Relationships. So on the first page, you should have a graph. So we're going to go ahead and fill in some of these blanks. Now at the top, I have a 1, 2 in parentheses. Okay? The arrow that's pointing towards the 1 has a box that states the blank corresponds to the number on the x-axis. In that blank, you're going to write x coordinate. In the blank that's pointing to the 2, you should write y coordinate. So the x coordinate corresponds to a number on the x-axis, and the y coordinate corresponds to a number on the y-axis. In this blank here, which is pointing to this, the y, you're going to write y-axis. In this blank, you're going to put origin, because it's pointing towards the origin of the graph, which is 0, 0 on your graph. In this blank, you're going to write x-axis. So the y-axis is the one that runs up and down. It's the vertical axis. The x-axis is the one that runs horizontally. It's the x-axis. Okay? In this blank, you're going to write x coordinate. And then in this blank, ordered pair. And in this blank, you're going to write y coordinate. So the x coordinate is the first, the y coordinate is the second one, and then the two of them together are called an ordered pair. There are 4 quadrants. You have quadrant 1, which is positive, positive. So this is positive, positive. In quadrant 2, you have negative x values, positive y values. In quadrant 3, they're both negative. And then in quadrant 4, you have positive x values, negative y values. All right, maps have grids to locate cities. The blank blank is a type of grid that is formed when 2 number lines intersect at their 0 points. So in those 2 blanks, you're going to write coordinate plane. So the coordinate plane is a type of grid that is formed when 2 number lines intersect at their 0 points. The number lines separate the coordinate plane into 4 regions called blank. In that blank, you're going to write quadrants. So the number lines separate the coordinate plane into 4 regions called quadrants. And blank blank is a pair of numbers. In those 2 blanks, you're going to write ordered pair. So an ordered pair is a pair of numbers such as 1, 2 used to locate or graph points on the coordinate plane. All right, on the second page of graphing proportional relationships, in the cloud we have another way to determine whether 2 quantities are blank is to graph the quantities on the coordinate plane. So in that blank, you're going to write proportional. So another way to determine whether 2 quantities are proportional is to graph the quantities on the coordinate plane. If the graph of the 2 quantities is a straight line through the blank, the origin, then the 2 quantities are proportional. So if you graph a line, it's completely straight and it goes through the origin, which is 0, 0 on your graph, then it's a proportional relationship. So the example that they gave us was the slowest mammal on Earth is the tree sloth. It moves at a speed of 6 feet per minute. Determine whether the number of feet the sloth moves is proportional to the number of minutes it moves by graphing on the coordinate plane. Explain your reasoning. So step 1, I make a table to find the number of feet walked for 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 minutes. So at 0, the sloth has traveled 0 feet. At 1 minute, the sloth has traveled 6 feet. At 2 minutes, it's 12, 3, 18, and 4, 24 feet, respectively. So step 2 is to graph the ordered pairs. So I'm graphing time versus distance. So my first point, which is 0, 0, is at the origin. My second point, which is 1, 6. Then I do 2, 12, 3, 18, and 4, 24 would be off the graph. Then I use a ruler to form a straight line. It goes from the origin, and it's a straight line through each of the connected dots. Alright, this tells me the line passes through the origin and is a straight line. So the number of feet traveled is proportional to the number of minutes. Alright, now it's your turn. Go ahead and try out the 2 try problems on this page. Once you've paused the video and tried them out, resume the video and we'll go over the answers together. Alright, now that you've had a chance to try out the try problems, let's go over the answers together. The first one I have is right here. It says James earns $5 an hour babysitting. Determine whether the amount of money James earns babysitting is proportional to the number of hours he babysits by graphing on the coordinate plane. Then explain your reasoning. Make sure that you're following all of the steps. So, let's create a table. Alright, so the table I've created is time and money. So, if he does 0 hours of babysitting, he earns $0. If James babysits for 1 hour, he earns $5. If he goes for 2 hours, he earns 10. 3 hours is 15. Okay. Now I can go ahead and graph this on my graph. So my first point is 0, 0. 0, 0 is right there. It's at the origin. Then I have 1, 5, 2, 10, and anything else is going to be off my graph. But this is a straight line that travels through 0, the origin, so it is proportional. My reasoning is that James earns a constant rate when he babysits. Alright, my second try problem says the table shows the number of calories an athlete burned per minute of exercise. Determine whether the number of calories burned is proportional to the number of minutes by graphing on the coordinate plane. Explain your reasoning. So, he burned in 0 minutes of time working out, he burned 0 calories. So that's my first point. So I'm going to go ahead and graph it on the line. My second, in 1 minute, he burned 4 calories. In 2 minutes, he burned 8 calories. And in 3 minutes, he burned 13, which is way up here. So it starts out as a straight line, and then it goes way up. So this is non-proportional. Because it's not a constant rate. So it's non-proportional because it's not a constant rate. It's always important when you're graphing to graph at least 3 points on your graph at any given time. The reason you want to do this is because while the first 2 may look normal, the third or the fourth might actually be what gives you the non-proportional relationship. And that is the end of lesson 4. And that's the end of chapter 1, lesson 5.